Live your passion.
You can be anything you want. You can achieve it if you just believe. Take you to a place you can be yourself. Live your passion. Live your passion. Yeah.
Hazardous Goods Drivers specialise in the transportation of corrosive, explosive, flammable, poisonous or otherwise dangerous materials. They hold specialised certification in aspects such as safety management and defensive driving techniques. Meet Hazardous Goods driver Ulli Nuule, employed by local logistics operator Unitrans Africa Namibia. She is making her mark in an industry dominated by men. This is her story.
Live your passion.
Born at Onayamba village in Oshokoto's Okangolo constituency, Ulli grew up at her grandmother's homestead before her father relocated the siblings to Walvis Bay. A product of Naraville Primary and later Dodena Secondary, where she excelled as an athlete, Ulli developed an early fascination with driving, dreaming of the day she would get behind the steering wheel herself.
So when my father comes in the morning, we used to fight just to sit in front. But then they didn't know what I was fighting for. I was literally waiting to sit in front just to see what is my father doing there, the feet moving there. So driving was one of the best thing I wanted to know. Like ever since I was young, I wanted to know how to drive a car.
Champangane nengo tafla kutate koskola ta koyere komejo. Ye kweka posana ga kuja sta koyere komejela kando jashike. Jo kutse okuhinga.
It didn't come as a surprise to her loved ones when Ulli acquired her driver's license as soon as she had her grade 12 certificate under the belt.
So after grade 12, that was my first thing I achieved, a driving license. Because my father would be like, no one is going to drive my cars without a driving license because if you bump it, it's a problem. So sometimes you have to go to town, taking a cab, leaving a car at home. And then I was like, no, I have to get a driving license and then legally drive his car.
Live your passion. Live your passion, yeah.
Despite her fascination with driving, Ulli, against her better judgment, signed up for office administration at a public VTC, a course she completed in 2014. Soon, she realized that office work never appealed to her. A training in a course in occupational health and safety at South Africa's National Occupational Safety Association followed.
So I was asking my father one day, we were watching TV, and then there was a lady driving a big fire truck. We used to watch those Chicago fires. A lady driving that big fire truck with sirens. So I was asking, "Nah, Baba, what is that?" He said, "No, it's a fire department and what. So I used to ask him, then he used to tell me, and that. So I realized that okay, since the fire department have to do with safety also, somehow, I have to go for this. So I went for fire. They paid my school. I went to Pretoria, came back, and then I started working as a tumor municipality, and then I went to City of Windhoek on an internship program.
Formal employment continued to evade Ulli, however. But things changed for the better, and her big break eventually came when in 2021, her father encouraged her to respond to a newspaper advertisement of Unitrans Africa Namibia, who at the time were looking for female candidates to train as hazardous goods drivers.
Monondaka monano kujo oni mayono ya pitako Unitrans ne yono inashano training ya kadona ro ya eke. No kunlombera pedimo mano kwa dikeri ko chofu indo kawi. Opo tandil lombere kujo punane boni mayono anda tarama ifopano. Kambada rauninge o maindiro. Oshoka otaike kuponga to yono yuri yo nanga yo kwede yon.
When we put the ad out, we had over 700 applicants immediately that wanted to come. So we actually needed to narrow it down because we couldn't interview 700 people. So when we actually then said, well, let's look at matric, let's look at people that's actually got code 10, Ulli, the personality was just, immediately when we asked her, why do you want to become a truck driver? And she said, man, I saw myself driving to Zambia. I saw myself in one of these big trucks. We saw there's passion. That's somebody that's want to prove a point to also say it's capable. I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm going to show the people it can be done.
Ulli's firefighter background, as well as already having a Code 10 license, counted in her favour. A rigorous in-house theoretical and practical training course followed, which included 37 hours of driving time in preparation for the Code CE license test. Due to the high standard and difficulty, only 15% of applicants succeed at the first attempt. Ulli, at attempt 5, was successful.
Uri was my partner here. When we started at Unitrans, we were two, just me and her, the candidates that were chosen to go through the training. So she managed to make it first, so I'm now the second with my CE.
For anybody that actually go for the EC license now, so the amount of people that pass at the moment is basically 1 out of 13 is actually passing the test. So it's very challenging, and basically, yes, Ulli made it.
At first, it was difficult, I can see, but nothing is impossible if you believe in yourself. It took me dedication, perseverance, and just that energy for me to become or to obtain my CE driving license. So it's not something easy. It needs time. You need to be very serious with it. Otherwise, it will just play like with you if you are playing with it. So you need to be serious for it to be serious with you as well.
Live your passion, live your passion, yeah.
Competent hazardous goods drivers are safe, proactive, alert, patient and reliable. For now, Ulli ticks the boxes as part of a team transporting processed salt from the Walvis Bay Salt Company, who exports about 600,000 tons to international markets via the Walvis Bay Harbour. And although salt is not classified as dangerous goods per se, Unitrans's high-frequency delivery to the Walvis Bay Harbour serves as an ideal training ground to prepare Ulli to enter the company's fuel haulage operations with confidence.
Some of the challenges we face at the salt pen is the fog or the weather. In the morning, it used to be very misty and the fog used to be very thick, and so you cannot be able to see. So you need to be very vigilant when driving through that kind of weather.
So for now, she's did over 4,500 kilometers, 180 trips, and incident-free. But not only that, she's actually in the pace and stuff that she works at is almost the same as her male colleagues. And if you take that, you've got a weighbridge in between, she gets into the Namport, she needs to actually maneuver the vehicle, offload. For her to actually get that skill and actually be confident at the moment to actually say, yes, I can do it on my own, is for me very amazing. And because we're so controlled and have so many rules, ladies in general basically will follow rules much better than men. But the main thing is, of course, is that they're very good in following rules. They're also much softer on equipment. And that's where you actually get to say, well, it's actually more suited, this environment, than for the males.
Defensive driving is about enhanced awareness of your surroundings, to be able to anticipate what other drivers might do and take timely action to stay safe. Ulli is well equipped to employ defensive driving techniques whenever the situation requires.
Defensive driving is basically just to adhere to the road regulations, to predict and to decide, to observe what is going around you. Is it safe? Is it not safe? Stop. You can find other negligent road users. So you cannot both be stubborn. You are the one that have defensive driving, because not everyone have that privilege to get such training. So you have to do your job, like just predict, oh, this person might turn and make a U-turn. So just stop and then observe, and then you can decide, then proceed. That's all about defensive driving, just to drive defensively to arrive safely.
Unitrans Africa Namibia's decision to break barriers and invest in Ulli as a female is paying dividends. To date, the company has invested more than $160,000 in Ulli's training, and she is now well positioned to make further inroads as a qualified hazardous goods driver.
So I'm always positive and I'm always doing the right thing. So I believe I'm good at my job. I have driven so far 4,900 incident-free kilometers.
Dangerous goods, of course, is very much regulated. Hours of drivers, speed limits, age of a driver, the experience is much more than a normal driver. Where in the old days you used to have like a driver, if he could basically drive a truck, he was competent, he would get a job. Where currently there's a lot of paperwork. A driver needs to be able to read all the rules, need to be able to work out ullage when they get to a site. Fill in an invoice and make sure that all the paperwork and all of that gets done. So the requirements for the nowadays dangerous goods driver is much more than a normal driver.
You drive like 250 kilometers per day. Yes, if you calculate those kilometers, because when you start, you fill in your odometer reading, the logbook. So the moment you stop and it's time to knock off, you need to close off your logbook.
I feel better because like here in Wabes, I only see they are driving those small cars, not a big truck like Ulli is driving a big truck now. Yeah, like a man. You can do the work, men can do it.
Ondu vitenawa muri takingo malori ena ombapira jono nene ya pumbo kumonika kamati ngashi eri muno ya hamano ka eno ombapira jo inwe kuuli o tato ya shikeina na vulika o eno ombapira jo inwe kuuli ya ondu vitenawa notandiga je tsonkumo ka vaja kwetu kucha na ethano na ningeshi ya pumbwa. Ya, nakuti wano ashitakingo malori ngao kene eirongo jasa.
Kuno magano minimo ishi. Ashonde nse amurenge ngikana ndando mwatarangane shitulike mono. O namagano bashita. Meshito jakarunga yemwe. Ya, o kucha inashingirana nando shidigo kulongo kuhinga kaya. Shakaro shikuna ikuye. Shoko kunanare o ni mayono ya itaero njono ngikaja karamu yenengo seonga yono apewa ukarunga.
Ulli Nuule, determined, single-minded, focused. Her story teaches us the value of persistence, that it doesn't matter our talents, that without persistence, our full potential will never be achieved. She is living her passion as a hazardous goods driver and is blazing trails for other females wishing to enter this exciting male-dominated industry. This insert is brought to you by the Namibia Training Authority as part of its Live Your Passion advocacy campaign to create awareness amongst young Namibians about technical and vocational careers. Join us again next week for another inspiring episode.